So knowing that you have gone down those paths,
Yeah,
how does that tie into what you're doing
mm,
now?
absolutely. So that's exactly what led to this work now, right? For
Okay.
me, again, I was kind of path down the road of going into education system.
Mhm.
But as we can see, especially when within a lot of communities of color,
Mhm.
um, education is just one part, right?
Okay.
To me, I still think education is huge because you
Mhm.
probably spend more time at school than you do at home,
Okay.
right? But how do we make sure everybody's full life is better? And that's the work I want to do.
Mhm.
So if I can make sure you have good food in your community, if you
Mhm.
have some activities or things to do to keep you out of trouble once you
Mhm.
get home from school,
Yeah.
are there businesses in your community, right? So my
Mhm.
work now allows me to look at every facet of a person's life
Mhm.
and think about how do we help make all of that better.
Welcome to a new edition of Future Leaders Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, and this is my guy right here. He's definitely doing some amazing things in our community and really making a lot of traction. So today I want to introduce my guy Tadean Page. Tadean, if you don't mind, give a little introduction, a little bit about yourself, man.
Okay, for sure. For first, thank you for having me here.
Man, no doubt.
Met this guy, I don't even know how long ago at this point, but
Yeah.
spirit always been the same.
Yeah.
Good energy and always out in the community. So thank you for what you're doing.
No doubt.
But Tadean Page is my name, or Tay or T. I'm cool with all of that. Born and raised in the big city of Dillon,
All right,
South
there you go.
Carolina, 843. But been here in Rock Hill for 9 years now,
Wow.
which is
Cool.
crazy to think about. But came here in 2014 to go to Winthrop University. Had every intention on moving to Rock Hill, getting my degree, moving right on out to Washington, D.C. But I fell in love with this community, serving this community because of people like Mr. Steven here. So I'm still here now. So I own a business here. I work for the city of Rock Hill as well, doing development, which I'm sure we'll talk more about, and serving in the community however I can. So that's a little bit of what I do outside of work. I love to travel a lot. Love to eat good food and hang with good people.
No doubt, man. I would say this is a future mayor right here, but that's probably an understatement. But I see a lot of your similarities of our President Barack Obama.
For sure.
I really
Definitely
see
an
a lot
inspiration.
I see a lot of similarities. So man, you definitely been hitting the pavement,
I'll take that.
been involved, and
Sure.
just being a help wherever you go, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
So yeah, man. So you say you came in here through the city through winter, right?
Correct.
So when you went to winter, what were you taking up, or what kind of?
Good question.
Mhm.
So I came to Winthrop, like I said, 2014. I'm a first generation college student, so
Okay.
meaning my parents don't have a degree,
Yeah.
grandparents don't have a degree, anything like that. So I'm the first in my family to get a college degree,
Wow.
right? Immediate family. So
Mhm.
came to Winthrop, and I remember sitting in the auditorium on the first day. Literally, I can feel it sitting here right now, and saying to myself, I can come here and be whoever it is I want to be,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Whoever I want to be, I
Mhm.
get to become that guy.
Okay.
And I set out on that path, and I wanted to be a leader. I was already super involved in school. So
Okay.
the Tadean that you see today doing too much, always everywhere, that I've always been that guy in school. I love learning. I love school. It's kind of my safe place.
Mhm.
But I wanted to come to college and kind of take that to the next level.
Mhm.
So coming to college, for me, that looked like becoming a leader on campus, getting involved in different activities and programs that can make the school better. But once I got there, man, my whole life changed,
Wow.
right? Like I saw the world beyond the four corners that I knew it to look
Okay.
like, right? And I always tell people this: exposure changes everything.
Wow. Yeah.
Once you see more,
Mhm.
whether you go get it or not, at least you know it exists,
Yeah.
right? And college did that for me. So I went to school originally for education.
Mhm.
Wanted to become a teacher, principal, start an academy for black boys, just kind of the path I was going down.
Okay.
And kind of had some aha moments when I got into the schools here in Rock Hill. The schools here are much different than the schools I had growing up.
Mhm.
So I came to the schools here. These schools are nice.
Okay.
The schools are beautiful. The kids had iPads. The
Wow.
kids had all these things.
Uh-huh.
Dance, theater, music. We didn't have any of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, how was my experience so different just 2 hours away?
Wow.
Right?
Mhm.
If I had half of what these students had here, I can only imagine where I could be, right?
Mhm.
So I started asking those questions. Well, how are schools funded, right? Why are mine so different? Da da da. If you live in a poor community,
Yeah.
your schools represent that, right?
Okay.
So at that point, I didn't care about teaching anymore. I was like, how do we fix schools in
Yeah.
general? So I ended up switching my major to organizational leadership,
Okay.
which allowed me to focus on how do we create or develop new systems of change. So I started going down that path, started to understand education is just one part of somebody's life. You know, your school can be better, but if your home life is still broken,
Wow.
you still don't have food in your community, right?
Mhm.
All these different factors matter. So kind of went down this huge pipe of trying to figure out how do we just make the world a better place altogether and give people a full quality of life. So got that degree from Winthrop and then went on and got a master's degree as well.
Wow.
And here we are today.
Oh man, that's cool, man. So knowing that you have gone down those paths, how does that tie into what you're doing now?
Absolutely. So that's exactly what led to this work now, right?
Okay.
For me, again, I was kind of pathed down the road of going into education system.
Mm-hmm.
But as we can see, especially when within a lot of communities of color,
Mm-hmm.
education is just one part, right?
Okay.
To me, I still think education is huge because you probably spend more time at school than you do at home,
Okay.
right? But how do we make sure everybody's full life is better? And that's the work I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can make sure you have good food in your community, if you
Mhm.
have some activities or things to do to keep you out of trouble once you get home from school,
Yeah.
are there businesses in your community, right? So my work now allows me to look at every facet of a person's life
Mm-hmm.
and think about how do we help make all of that better.
Okay.
And that's work I get to do. It's more than I can do alone for sure.
Yes.
I understand that. I'm clear on that. But I still try to change the whole world every day.
Yeah.
But that's work I get to do, man, and I'm grateful to do that work alongside community members. One of the things I'm very passionate about is making sure I'm not trying to, how do I word that? It is not my job to try to be anyone's savior,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't think I can fix you or change you. I want to work alongside you
Yes.
to help make your world a better reality.
Right.
So I work alongside community. I don't fix community.
Mm-hmm.
I work with people to help make their worlds a better place.
Man, that's cool. Remind me of a book that I've read called When Helping Hurts. And it's a book that through Paul, the building we're in right now, him and I think Wallace, Mike Wallace,
Okay.
Pastor Wallace introduced me to. And it's basically the same thing. You can't be the person's fixer, but you can walk alongside with the individual and help them along that journey. And just kind of point some things out, but allow them to be in the driver's seat. Because if you just give them a fish today, they're gonna be back tomorrow. And so you gotta help the person to help them to see and find their way along the path.
Man. And I think it's a real slippery slope. You know, when you start to view yourself as a savior, then you're trying to take God's place. Right?
Oh man!
And I don't want that.
No.
I don't want that. Right? I can't turn two fish
No.
into thousands. Right? I can't turn a few loaves of bread into 1,000 loaves of bread. So I don't. I want to stay in my right seat on the bus,
Mm-hmm.
but understand that He's using me
Mm-hmm.
to help other people to be a vessel.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not the savior. I'm just a vessel.
Exactly.
And if I can help empower you to do your own work, you can go empower 10 other people to do their work too.
Exactly.
So I don't want to be the savior at all, right? I don't want to just hand you a fish. I want to work with you to cook that fish,
Yeah.
and then you can show everybody else you know how to make their fish, and they can help even more people too.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's what, I'm ready. I'm already spiritual already, but like I think that is our job, regardless of what your job is.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to be vessels. Our job is to do things that help make the world a better place, in whatever corner of the world God trusts you to do that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I want to give you two, man, because when I thought of this particular platform, you were one of mine, first come to mind.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason being is because you are have the leadership, but you're also one who I see is future minded. You are also one who, if I had to say that's not innovative thinking. Just because things were answered yesterday that way doesn't mean that's the same answer tomorrow. And so sometimes we can't get stuck into a cycle of how things work. Because back when I was very much involved in my 30s, they had neighborhood empowerment office you work in now. It was different.
Sure.
You had the weed and feed.
Yeah.
You had a lot of things that was different. But you got on board and you guys kind of made some changes there.
Sure.
And so kind of tell us a little bit about how that came about, because I love this, how you and Miss Elaine are working now to touch this community in a different way.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's something that we all need to hear, because the reason is more because you don't have to come in knowing all the answers, but if you get on board, things will come in play as the further and further you go.
Sure.
So kind of tell us how your journey came to connect with the city a little bit.
For sure. So in terms of my role with the city, my specific title as of right now is Economic Development Coordinator.
Okay.
So within that role, my job is to think about how do we build up an entire community, particularly the south side of Rock Hill, focusing on, jobs, focusing on economic growth, which is our businesses in that area. But all of that to me trickle down to a healthy, thriving community.
Yeah.
Right. So to your point, we work with neighborhood empowerment a lot with that department in that area to really think about the full. Going back to my early picture, right? It's all this core of a healthy community, a healthy people, right?
Okay.
And what does it take around that core to make that happen? It takes neighborhood services who does, housing redevelopment. It takes neighborhood services who do neighborhood reunions and host neighborhood association meetings. It takes neighborhood services to do the weed and seed and all these different programming that we do, right? The tool shed where you can come and get a lawnmower, you can borrow a lawnmower if you need that to cut your grass, whatever that looks like. But then it also takes us working with the businesses in that community to help them grow and scale, right? That's one part that I'm super passionate about. It's helping our existing businesses in that community grow, have the resources they need to grow, become better, but also bring new businesses to that community too. That's recreation, that's working with parks, PRT, right?
Okay.
To make sure that not just kids, but everybody, adults too, have recreational opportunities in our community. So what do our parks look like in this part of town, right? Do they have the amenities that they need so people can go and enjoy them, right? One of the things I always talk about, a park to me is not just an open field.
Okay.
To think about a football field being there. A park is having a football field.
Yeah.
A park is having a basketball court, right? And for many of our communities, particularly Southside, many of our facilities have not gotten as much love as most people would like, right? So we're thinking about how do we leverage all of these particular portions. As you may know, we're now renovating McGirt Auditorium. We're doing that work with PRT to make that a state-of-the-art facility in the south side of Rock Hill, right? That space is already used by a lot of youth in the community for plays, for little theater performances, dance performances. But what does it look like to help those kids dream of themselves on a new stage, right? So to your question and point, my role within the city of Rock Hill is going beyond just housing. It's going beyond just one particular portion of a person's life and thinking about how do all these factors work together to help improve it all. And I think when you ask what is this new way of doing that, I think that's what's different, is that we're trying to take a newer approach, a more aggressive approach to collaboration that we might not have seen, right? A lot of the city, everybody's overworked, underpaid, all the things, but everybody's doing their job and doing it well, but we're all doing our job individually and separately. That if we bring all of that back to that core I just spoke about and work hand in hand, we can see how a lot of this can get done a lot easier, a lot quicker, and a lot better. So I believe that's what I'm called to help do. For me, going back to the spiritual part, I've heard this from Governor, it's slipping me, Governor West out of Maryland? Black guy, just won governor of Maryland, and he spoke about your job versus your title, right? And he talked about how his titles have always changed throughout life, right? You may be coordinator today, you may be director tomorrow, you may be mayor tomorrow, all these different things. But my job has always been the same regardless of the title. And as I think about this current role with the city, that title will change over time at some point. But my job has always been, will always be in different forms. How do we help people live a more full life? Whatever title helps me do that, I want it.
Wow.
So this is that current title and that current way that I get to do that. And it's been beautiful to see that work happen over the past 2 years and work side community members like you, our elected officials, people in the community, to help make that a even better community. So again, even thinking back to our earlier days of meeting, bringing you in with your entertainment company to say, hey, right, like, I don't know everything to do around entertainment, but you got a company that does. So let's collaborate. Let's partner with you to make that piece happen, right? So again, it's bringing all the people to the table to help get better results. I think that's what we're here to do.
Exactly. And I love that, man. I love the fact that you say it's about collaboration. I know you got certain different components. One of the pieces I know we have is a Clinton Connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the Clinton Connection, you have committees, you have people come to the table, and everybody plays a part to make this role. Kind of paint a little bit about the picture of Clinton Connection, but
sure.
then how it ties in with the community working and owning this piece.
Yeah. That's good. So Clinton Connection, for those who are not aware or familiar, is the revitalization or redevelopment plan for the south side of Rock Hill. So Rock Hill has a couple developmental plans. You have your downtown one. Riverwalk was considered a developmental plan at one point, but south side is our newest developmental plan.
Okay.
And to your point, within my role, I co-lead that alongside Ms. Elaine. So that plan is 30 projects plus that the community came up with. So when you talk about one of the main differences is that this wasn't just us in the big city hall building saying, all right, let's put some things on the whiteboard and think what people need. We asked people what they want, we asked them what they need, and we formulated that into a plan. So with that, again, this is a strategy for how do we take this community to the next level. That plan is, in my mind, it's a vision that supersedes all of us individually. So it's not Tadean go to complete all 30. It's not, I want all 30 to be done, but I know it's not all by me or by you or anybody individually.
Yes.
That plan should be 30, 40, 50 years old and working, right? If we're really committing to improving that community. When we think about Southside as a whole, one, I think of resilience. I think of our people, right? I think of mom and pop. Restaurants, mom and pop shops, mom and pop businesses. I think of like the lady I ran into at like the convenience store. You know what I mean? Like I think of all of that when I think of our community, but I also think of a community that's been underserved, right? I think about the fact that Southside is the poorest part of Rock Hill. I think about the fact that the average income in this area is around $72,000, but the fact that the income on Southside is $27,000. Right, our people are the sickest in Southside. Right, worst health statistics out of all of York County. Right, so alongside the beauty of what makes that community, I think about all this work we have to do too, and that plan helps to address all of that. So Clinton Connection is not just new buildings and new houses; it's recreation, it's our facilities, it's programming that we need for youth, it's new businesses, it's all the things you can imagine or that people have imagined alongside us when they think about what makes their community beautiful. And our job is to help implement that on their behalf. So the way I see it is I work for the people. This is my job they gave me while they go and do their other jobs, right? While they're working, while they're trying to put food on their family tables, this is my job to help make their community better. So that's what Clinton Connection is, and then that's my role and what that looks like.
Now, how do you get others who are in the community involved and engaged in certain aspects?
So we're not perfect at it, right? I think it's something we're always trying to get better at, because the more people we can get, number one, make aware of the plan, or number two, get involved in the plan, I think we can kind of do more of that reaching thing I spoke of. One of the main things we do is we host a quarterly forum. So, and we put these all around the community. So sometimes they're at McGirt, sometimes they're at the Transformation Center. We've done some at Ernest Brown Women's Center. So we just kind of move them all around the community to meet people where they are. We bring food, sometimes have entertainment, but then we kind of keep it short, sweet, to the point, but we inform everybody on what has happened since the past 3 months that we met. So one of our personal goals is every time we host this quarterly event, we should have something new to share with you. That don't mean it's going to be big and grand every 3 months, but there should be something new that has happened that we've done on your behalf. So we host those quarterly forums to help make that happen. So we've done our last one in September, so we're preparing for our next one, December, January. So that's when we kind of keep people informed. Also, our website and social media is pretty active. So we always try to post on social media things that are happening, not just that we're doing, but other things in the community that may be going on. So people are aware with that. Our website, you can subscribe to our website, and we send out email blasts and newsletters via email. We're doing that. I always putting flyers out around the community, but also too, one of the newer things we've done is we created an ambassadors program, which I think is probably the best part. So we hire people from the community or paid people from the community to go through this training. They all went through a 10-week leadership training course. We pay for the full course. They also got a stipend to go through the course as well. They got a certificate. but they was able to go through that training and learn how do they become advocates for their community.
Wow.
So, again, it's people who live, eat, sleep in this very community that we're serving. And I understand and trust that before they ever follow Clinton Connection Facebook, they follow Stephen's Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? And if it comes from Stephen versus reading on the status, they're going to trust it 10 times more. They're more likely to share your post versus mine, right? So there's a real part and real strategy to outreach and get people involved, and that's through humans, right? Computers are great, emails are great, but that word of mouth is still the best marketing thing you can ever do. So having those ambassadors to go, they come to the table, get information, and they kind of take it back to the community. And I think that's been really helpful in terms of getting everyday people involved in this work. A lot of times when we do community work, we bring the leaders to the table, right? We bring the pastor, we bring the same people we always bring to the table, and we never get to reach other people. And so we've been trying to be very intentional with that these ambassadors represent a cross sector of people in the community. We have ambassadors that are as young as 25. We have ambassadors as seasoned as 65. Right? Because if we're trying to reach a whole community, we got to represent what that community looks like. So, again, we're not perfect, but we're trying to do some of those efforts to try to get more people aware and engaged in what we're doing as well.
Awesome. I'm going to tie into it later, but if you have a way if someone wants to learn more about Clinton Connection, how could they go about finding that information?
Good question. So our website has all the information there. You can see that plan that I just spoke about with those 30 projects. That website is www.clintonconnection.com. Connection is CONNEXTION as in next. So clintonconnection.com. Also same thing on Facebook as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right, now y'all pretty much got your team already that's going to be the ambassadors?
Yeah, so the goal is to do another round of ambassadors maybe next year. But they went through their training, so we have our first cohort is what we're calling it for now. But hopefully next year we're putting out another announcement to accept more ambassadors.
Okay. Well, I'm going to transition a little bit because we talked about some of your fulfillments of what you do through the city.
Sure.
I want to dive into some other areas such as in business. You do your hands, you got a business, you own, and then you also are connected to an organization that connects and network businesses. But I kind of want to go to your foundation, where all this come from, because I know you come from a home that your father and your parents have business. So what was that like growing up in a home where business was the norm?
So it's interesting you ask that, because for me it's so much of only what I know that I don't know what it feels like to not have that, right?
Yeah.
And it's only when I see other families or other people who didn't grow up in a family with businesses how different that is. The main ways in which I think that is different though, my family, like my parents are always on the go, right? So it's a double-edged sword thing. Like, you creating your own life and your own lifestyle and freedom, but it comes at a cost, right? It comes at the cost of time. You're sitting here right now filming, putting this production together. That's time away from your family, right? So it comes at a cost to do these things. But I see my family work a lot. So we didn't have much time like at home per se. But the beautiful thing is we were at work with them. So my parents did after school programs, child care centers. My grandparents did child care centers. My aunt did child care. You know what I mean? So like working with youth has always been our thing. I just wanted to go to college and take that to the next level. So seeing them run that, my parents' child care center serving 300 kids a day, right? Every single day. Over 25 employees, like crazy. So watching all of this growing up, I started working mad early. Like I was working. I don't know what time I wasn't working. So whether it was me just sweeping the floors, taking the trash out, all the way up to me, being like the mini director, if you will. So by the time I got into high school, I was pretty much running the center alongside my mom, and getting paid good too. I was learning a lot very early. But it wasn't just you're the boss. It's okay. Let's look at the money for this week, right? This is what we brought in. This your payroll. These are your expenses right here. So this all you got to take home this week, right? It's the real lessons of entrepreneurship and business. So learning all of that very early to me entrepreneurship is like in my blood. I don't know how to not have my own business.
Yeah.
But also one of the things I'm processing, man, the older I get, I think the biggest thing about entrepreneurship is one, unlimited potential, right? You can grow it as big as you want. There's no limit on that. But also two, I think the biggest thing and the biggest blessing of it is freedom. Like there's a freedom that comes with entrepreneurship that a 9-to-5 could never give. And there's perks to both. So I don't want to, say one is better than the other. But for me, the freedom that comes with owning your own thing, creating your own thing, and being able to scale that to whatever level you want, there's no price you can put on that, man. So seeing that from my parents and now being able to live that, even though I do it alongside a 9-to-5, going back to that title thing, I see the differences in it. And that's why entrepreneurship is just always going to be, it's my thing. It's my thing.
I had two questions. One, and it's basically me asking you versus, and it's going to bless others, but stuff that even in the lane that I'm in, we're working in a day and time where it's hard to, I ain't going to say it's hard to find good help, but it's people who don't want to do the 9-to-5, or it's a lot more challenging to get someone to want to go on board as an employee. So what's some tips or some ways that you may have found that make that journey a little bit more, I'm not saying you got the total correct answer, but have you found some success in finding people?
That's good. So a couple things. I had to get creative, man. I have one team member right now. So a lot of my work with my company, I contract, right? So a lot of people I bring in for a certain project, let them do the deliverables that we set within that contract, and that's kind of like how we work, and I kind of bring them as I need it. So on the regular, every single week I'm working with videography, photography, event people, like across the board. I'm contracting with different people, but in terms of my payroll, right, I have my assistant project manager who, I gotta pay her every 2 weeks. Regardless of how much you made, I gotta pay her every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
But I had to get really creative with bringing her on board. So to your point, she has her own business that she's trying to grow and scale and do all the things. She also works another job. So I understood that one, she's already a person who can manage things. So that was important for me. Number two, creative, right? Innovative, to that word that you used earlier. But three, because I know she already had all that going on, I had to create a situation that was more than just the money, right? Like, people are fueled by different things. There's some people who, for the right amount, I don't care. It ain't mental for me. I want the check and I can just get it done. Some people, other things matter more to them, right? So you got to find that thing for different people, and I had to learn how to do that, right? So she is like trying to grow and scale her business. So what I've been very intentional about giving her more than just a check is, okay, connecting dots of how you help me do this in my company is going to help you in your business, right? So I'm teaching her, I'm showing her all the things. Hey, here's this contract. Here's how much money we made on this, right? Here's our to-do list for the week. 50% of that list is yours. I don't care what time you get it done, it got to get done, right? So it's not just like, here's your list for the week. Go make this happen for me. You in it with me, right? I need you to see what does it take to make this work, to make this keep going. And so she's finding enjoyment in learning because she knows it's always going to come back to helping her grow her business when it's time. So I had to connect that dot for her. Number two, I let her come up with her own job title. Like, probably to me, she's like my assistant. Or like she does across the board, from scheduling meetings to hosting meetings with clients to putting pictures together for clients to showing up to the event, like all the things that are needed. But the title that she wanted was assistant project manager. That don't bother me, right? So if that's something that she can add to her resume, it looks better than just assistant on the resume. You know what I mean? So giving people the things they need to feel most successful is great. And I pay her well. Like, that's the other part too. I had to realize, like, I couldn't nickel and dime somebody who's helping invest in my dream, right? She shows up every day for my dream. People ain't working, bro. People ain't working no more. right? So if I found good help,
You gotta take care of
that's showing up, I got to take care of that.
it.
So I'm paying her pretty well right now. She kind of gets spoiled though. She told me the other day, she said, I'm ready for the end of the year for my review, so that I can go and get my raise for the next year. But I'm like, this ship is selling well, not just only because of me, right? I get to be the face a lot of times. I get to be the one to show up, but I know I could not be doing all this alone.
Yeah.
There is no way I could be doing that. So if you're helping me get there, I'm investing in you too. So it's been a mix of all of that, but bro, also too, I had to let go of a lot of people. A lot of people lazy. A lot of people sound good on paper. A lot of people sound good for the first week.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of people don't want to work. And that's fair, but I oftentimes tell people, I think people think we do want to work, right? It's like we all want freedom, but there's a real part of getting things done to get there, right? You come into this job, showing up, doing your job well, helps you get to that freedom that you want.
Exactly.
You have button it. You not doing your job well doesn't help you get to freedom more. That's not being a good steward, right? So from the time I worked at my parents' child care centers to when I worked at KFC, working a drive-through, from the time I was a delivery boy at Papa John's, to the time I cleaned up at Wells Fargo's. I do every job in excellence, right? Because all of those opportunities are just that, opportunities. They ain't jobs I gotta do. But if I saw that dotted line to want to do it, I need to do it well. So when you come through that drive-through for your chicken, why do I have an attitude with you? Right? You paying my light bill today. Right? So helping people also change their perspective when it comes to commitments, when it comes to helping build someone else's dream or even your own, it takes work. You got to put that in. If you're lazy, if you don't want to do it all the way through, you need to let it go, leave it alone. Because you're also stifling somebody else's dream when you do that. So the way this train going now, bro, if that's how you moving, I can't move with you because it's all a reflection of me. Right? So I don't know if I answered your question fully.
Man, I think you hit it.
But that's some of the things I'm learning, man. It's like, every part of this is a reflection of me. And if you want to come in and, slack and be lazy, that ultimately comes back to me, right? The client sees it in our work. They see it in our performance. And we're not going to be doing that. So when you find good people who want to do the right thing, utilize them, treat them well, invest in them, in the person, and you'll see that return on investment back. So again, I don't have perfect examples of that over and over again, but the one I got right now, I'm trying to keep that.
Good. No, I think that's very, very, very important to make sure that you have good people who really serious about it. And I like the fact that's one of the reasons I'm definitely moving more and more into this space, because now you're able to build a team of partnerships more than if you're in certain lanes. You have to go with the employee, and you got a lot of other challenges. You have a lot of challenges that it's like, well, I'm not saying it's not overcomable, but it's definitely a challenge.
It's a journey, for sure.
But with that, I wanted to kind of, because you like to say, not only do you do that, you do several different hats. Now I kind of want to touch in on your routine. How do you manage and have a routine that helps you in this space?
For sure. So biggest thing for me is time management and task management. So a lot of times people think time management is the whole part. You can manage the time, right? Because inevitably you only have but so much. You know what I mean? But you got to manage the task within that time.
Wow.
So once you learn to do that part better, again, I don't think you can ever do it perfect. I think it's always a journey getting better at it. But once you learn to kind of create systems that help you do that better, you kind of get into the right place of productivity. So one of the things I've been challenging myself on over the past year is being less busy, more productive. Because you can be busy and going nowhere, but you can be productive and being fruitful. Right?
You hit right. I want to stop you there, because that's something Pastor Ravel said maybe about 4 years ago. He said, some of you think I'm busy. I'm never busy. I'm always fruitful. That's one of them drop the mic moments when he spoke that. So what you just said, it's actually like you just unpacked that what he spoke of, and right then I wrote that down and I made that mine right there. So
because we all like chasing busy, I don't want to chase busy. I want to chase productivity, being fruitful. That's what I want to chase. Like even as I see in this moment, I'm challenging myself to go to another state of what it means to be fruitful. Right. So yeah, man. So that's one of my main things, and what that looks like for me. I operate off a calendar. you gotta have a calendar, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can't keep all that stuff in your head. There's no way you can manage all that. If you gotta be here, I honestly, I don't know what I have to do tomorrow. I cannot tell you. I genuinely cannot tell you. But that calendar can, right? Yeah. And I operate and live off that calendar, so everything goes into my calendar, from meetings to certain events, whether that's professional or like personal stuff. It all goes in there because it helps me, one, set my intention for the day, right? But when I go to bed, it's the last thing I look at. When I wake up, it's the first thing I look at. Okay. So it helps me set my intention for the day, right? Okay, I got 10 things to do today. All right, I'm already in the mindset to be ready for that. If you're not waking up thinking about what you got to do today, and that stuff start coming up, you're like, dang, I got all right. If I already set my intention, I got to do all of this. It helps your perspective is already different. So that's one part. Everything goes on that calendar. Number two, I have a to-do list. So, for me, I write a to-do list for the week. Okay. Then I write a to-do list for the day, based off of that week's to-do list. So if I have, and no kidding, like my to-do list for a week is typically 3 pages, right? And by Wednesday, I rewrite that list. And it's typically just as long because by the way you're doing some things, it brought more things on. Yeah. But I write everything out, man. So I write it out for the week, and then on Monday I say, okay, based on this week 3-page list, what has to get done today? Right? I may add a few things of what I wish to get done if I get done with the needs. But every day I start with what are the things that have to happen today. Right? I add those to the list. Another thing I was doing for a while was trying to do too much. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do my week list in a day. Right? So pulling those things over to the day list, what are the things you have to get done today? Made it 2-part better. Number one, I was more fruitful in getting those things done, right? But also number two, it kind of gave me a sense of achievement when those things happened. So I was looking forward to the next day and the next list, right? But if you're already defeated by the fact that you can't get through it all, you kind of like chipping away at yourself, right? So I've kind of learned that habit, which has been game changing for me. But also, the other part to this too, though, like you got to put in the time, bro. Like for some people, and I want to be careful, right? Because I think we live in a self-care world. I'm for all of that. Watching your mental health, wellness, all that is important. Okay. I'm for all of it. Yeah. But some people's journey looks different, right? So what you say yes to, right? If you say yes to if I say yes to having a full-time job, and I say yes to trying to grow and scale a company, and I say yes to doing all these things in the community, I got to get it done, bro. Exactly. Right? So my journey does look different. So, for somebody, they may only can work 9 to 5 and everything done. Yeah. They can go home. They ain't got to think about work, be with their kids, whatever that looks like. And I love that for them. My journey is different because I said yes, right? So for me, I'm usually up at it. I'm not super early morning, like 8 o'clock I'm kind of at it. Like 8 o'clock I'm ready to go. But sometimes I'm working until whatever that means that day, Sometimes that's whatever it needs to be. And when I leave here, today's Sunday, when I leave here I'm going to my office, right? To get a head start on the week. So every day is different, but I guess my point is, you set these rhythms, you put in these systems, calendar, to-do list, whatever that takes for you to get those things done. But also, too, the time piece is understanding you got to use your time wisely. So if I got to take 10-hour days, but I get to live the life fulfillment that I'm looking forward to, I'll take those 10-hour days, bro. Yeah. I'll take that 12-hour day if I have to. So every day is a bit different. I am in a season of trying to, I won't even use the word scale back, that won't be telling the truth. But instead of just going wider, I'm just trying to go deeper in certain things. So this is going to be a new season as I go into 2024, of what that looks like for me. But I'm trying to go deeper instead of just wider, and take the levels of impact of that work to another level. So instead of 100 sheep, I'd rather have 20 sheep, right? And steward them and shepherd them really, really, really well. I think that's the other part of productivity. Sometimes we're doing too much, right? And doing too much is not always a bad thing, But what does it mean to be a good steward of what God has gave you to do, but also what you say yes to.
Yeah.
And I want to be a good steward.
You open me up to think about, when you're saying deep, I'm thinking about leadership. And I don't know how familiar with John Maxwell's leadership teachings.
Yeah.
He talks about the 5 level leadership, and one of the level 3 is basically the servant leader, but then you start moving into the leader that's setting the tone. But level 5 is the leader that leads leaders, and that's when you talk about getting from 100. So you got a lot of followers out there. Some people just need you to be a do boy. They just need somebody. But then when you try to start saying, who sets himself aside, who wants to learn what I learned, move from discipleship to apostleship. You know what I'm saying? They're going to that place where now they can see themselves as being someone who can lead areas themselves. And so that's what I'm gathering what you're saying is, let me find those individuals on the team who want to set themselves up a little bit further, that we can go further where it doesn't cause me to wear myself out. And so now as you're speaking on that, I kind of want to hear your thought in that, because what Don Maxwell speaks of is leadership is influence. So you want to find other influencers on the team who can influence this person along the journey. So you don't have to be in all areas.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at ministry, you got your different, you got your choir. So you got the choir director. They do that. So you don't have to be in everything going on. So this person got that. And so how did that work? And even in this next season, are you starting to put together that system?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And it's something I'm still processing, bro. So, I may ramble a bit, but scalability, right? So there's a thing called the tipping point, right? And that tipping point is where you go beyond average, you go beyond good, right? And now you enter in the space of great, right? And that's the tipping point. In several areas of my life, I feel like I'm at a tipping point, right? So good, people are pleased with what I'm producing. It works. I don't get a lot of complaints on what I'm delivering as a product to clients or within my job. It's all good. I want to be great though, right? And I think for many of us in life, we get right there, right? You either decide to go back down that mountain or just stay right there and chill. You can coast. Or you got to put in that extra little bit of force and effort to go to that land over here. And that's where I am, man. And, to say it out loud, it sounds good. But that's work, bro. That's work. That's investment, right? And not just money. That's investment of time. That's investment of your thoughts and your plan and strategy. That's investment in other people. So I'm trying to get to greatness. Like, I'm so at a point in my journey now, and I'm blessed to be here at 27, which is crazy. But I'm blessed to be here and literally understand that I have to be a good steward of what God called me to do, right? And this is where I have like that, there's the motivational conversation you can have with everybody and say like, you can go do it. Like, I'm beyond that, right? I'm at the transformational conversation. And I understand that conversation ain't for everybody. So I may even lose some people right here. But like, being a good steward, I don't get to be lazy. I don't get to just be okay. That's lame. You feeling me, right?
Man,
like,
so crazy.
I want to be great. And that requires more. To whom much is given, much is required. So if I want that, I got to look at what it takes to get there. So part of your question, to kind of answer it here, is I know I can do all 20 things. And I can do all 20 good. And most people probably wouldn't think I skipped a beat, right? But that's not my standard. I want to get to excellence. I want to get to great. Like, I want to be the GOAT, right? And that's requiring more of me. So what does that mean? That means I have to think about what is still necessary to get me to the next level. what may not be as necessary to help propel me to that next level?
Mm-hmm.
What areas do I need help in? What areas do I need to let go of?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What areas do you think you're good in, but you're not really that great? You need to kind of pass that over to somebody else to do, right? So it's a lot of self-inventory. It's a lot of like things you don't want to hear about yourself or admit about yourself. But that's what you got to process. I'm thinking like when I be vulnerable with myself, one of the things I'm realizing I don't like daily operations. Like, ugh. Like crossing every I, dotting every T of like the stuff you got to do to make the other stuff work.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff, I'd rather have somebody else to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the vision person.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the person coming with the team and set the vision, get everybody excited about the vision, challenge and encourage everybody at the same time to go help make that vision happen alongside me.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the levels I want to operate at.
Okay.
Going to cast a vision to new clients, like all of that. So I'm doing self-inventory to understand what are the areas in my company that I show up really well in, what are the areas I need to grow in, and what are the areas I need to delegate. And taking that path helps me get across that tipping point. So 2024, that's what I'm believing for, but also that's what I have to do that work around to help me get there. Yeah, man, I want to be great.
Yeah.
I want to be great. And you say that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Every day. Every time I tell you, like, all right, go be great today, bro.
There you go.
Every day. That's the word, bro.
Yeah. I live on that, and it's not just word, but it's really trying to. Cause it's part of me is I feel a frustration, not a frustration as you're not doing it, but it's like that when you're in fourth quarter and you still got room to go.
I hear you. I hear you,
like,
bro.
I'm hitting it, but
I hear you.
It's something else. I gotta keep driving. I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep pushing. So allow that frustration, allow that unsettling to drive you.
Yeah. To propel you.
Yeah.
To propel
to not
you.
get comfortable just doing good.
Yeah.
Just where you at.
It's not enough.
No. And I think the greats, and that's why people ask me what's my favorite team, I don't do teams. I do greats. So if Vince, when they ask me, I run with Brady. Brady and them. That's just my conversation. That's just how I always do. And why did I separate that and use those individuals? Because the greats make everything around them better.
Come on, man.
You know, you can't be on Brady's team if you're not going to be wanting to be better. It wasn't better. And I like why I rock with Brady so much is because he was one of the slowest in football. Not just the slowest quarterback. He everything about him was skill-wise was not at the top. But he worked that much more harder. And not only himself, but he made those around him that much better. You can't be on Michael Jordan's team and be lazy. You can't be around Kobe and be like that.
It don't work.
You know, the greats, they wasn't like, I mean, not knocking Iverson. Iverson's my guy.
Sure.
But he didn't care for practice.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So what's the separation between Kobe and Iverson?
Iverson,
he led by example of what great looks like. On and off the court. Great. So he would hit no days off. What we talking about? I don't work for money. I work because this is what I assigned to. This is why I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, bro.
And so
it's a mindset.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. I think you can teach it. I think there's room for all of us to learn. But it's like it's there. You either have that or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think you can get it.
Yeah.
Right? If you want it bad enough, I think you can tap into it. Because I even think for us, like you can get it, and then you can get something more, and you can get something more, and you reach a certain point where you've got it enough that you have to act, right? And it's that season, man. It's that season of and I want to also. I was thinking about this as you were talking about Kobe, LeBron, Michael, Tom, all these people I think about. That operating at your highest potential doesn't take anything else away from anybody else.
Good.
All right? The team still got the ring. The team still got that check. Everybody good. Right? But you're going to see what this drive does for me individually. Right? If you benefit from it, that's great. But it's deeper than that. Right? It was something in me that I had to feed. right? And if we all benefit by way of that, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with being a good shepherd.
Yeah.
I'm okay with being a leader. That's being a leader, bro.
Yeah.
You know? So I never hear LeBron getting mad because they don't work as hard as him. I never hear Kobe get mad because they don't work as hard as him. Right? My assignment, my call, my drive is different, and I have to feed that. Now, if you're going to be around me, you got to operate at your level in which you can to help us all get there. Yeah. Right? Can't be a leech. Right? But I also don't have to condemn, talk about anybody else because of where they choose to operate at. But if you're going to be around here, excellence is what we call to do. However you define your excellence, however I define mine, it may be 2 different levels, but it got to be excellence. And I challenge everybody around me that way now, man. It's like, how can I love you? Okay? And not challenge you to be your best. Whatever that means for you. Whatever that means for you. I have 2 goddaughters, 14, and they're both in school, but they're different academically. Right? You know, some parents may say, if one getting A's, the other one should be getting A's. It's not fair. That's not true, right? One, she's academically talented. She's really smart. She loves learning. The other one, you know, like it ain't her thing always. That's okay, but I'm not gonna make an excuse for a D or an F either. All right. If it's a C and I know that's your subject that you don't really like, I get it. You know, I still need to get you some additional help, some tutoring, whatever. But I'm not mad at you not getting an A because I already know what it is, right? I've seen the cycle since you were younger, right? But I don't mean I allow you to be anything less than your best either. A D, an F, you can't explain that to me, right? So just brought up that one example just to make the case of there's room for grace in what this looks like, but there's no room for excuse. And that's for myself, because I ain't perfect at this thing either, you know? But also for the people that I say that I love and have in my life. We all should be operating at our best.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, man. It challenges me to say, man, at the end of the day, do I look back at it and I know I dotted my I's, crossed my T's, did that what I set out for, and not make excuses and say it's pointing the finger at anybody else. I always say what makes a man as a man is that they deal with it. Man, they face the ugly of it. There's certain things not working for them. They just be open and honest about it and let us now just face it and deal with it. And that's the separation I think that the greats do is if I drop the ball here, where do I own it? Do I own the situation? Do I make the adjustments to in order for me next time I'm up to bat or next time I get an opportunity, can I make sure that I'm in a better space?
For sure.
To win.
Accountability.
Yeah.
And using that to only become better.
Yes.
Right? Like, and in that world, is there such thing as failure? I don't think so.
No.
I only can grow. It's a growth mindset, bro. Right? Like, everything is here to shape me and mold me to a better version of myself.
That's what Edison. I think about him when he was 10,000 times on the light bulb, and he said I found 10,000 other ways it did not work, but I didn't fail. It was just ways that I know that now I need to make some adjustments in order to find the one thing that actually worked. And so let's not beat yourself up about it, but to allow that to fuel you to do better.
Absolutely. And know you're one step closer. It's all in how you view it, half full, half empty, right? I'm one step closer. I know that one didn't work. I at least checked that one off the list, right? And life, that's discovery, that's growth, and that's pushing forward. So that's the season that I want to challenge myself and everyone else to think about what does a new season of discovery, of challenge, of excellence look like, and how I must do that because there's someone in the world that is waiting on me to do that. Like somebody else is tied to my obedience. Somebody else is tied to my excellence.
Somebody needs you to win in order for them to win. And so definitely, you definitely want to be the one. Don't want to be the reason. I heard Pastor Bell say this too. I don't mind God using somebody else instead of me, but I never want Him to use somebody else in spite of me.
One more time. One more time.
That's good. That's good. I don't mind God using somebody else instead of me, but I never want Him to use somebody else in spite of me. That right there, marinate. Yeah. And so you want to make sure you are when God He can trust you to fulfill what He calls you to. Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Man, that'll preach.
Yeah.
That's so good though, bro.
That's true.
And I think once you get into that posture of understanding that and understanding that God has already equipped you with everything you need through Him, you walk in that thing differently, bro. Yeah. It ain't about me knowing everything. It ain't about me having everything I need. I don't have all the resources I need to get my company to the next level, right? I don't know everything. All the things you can think about, but understanding that I'm not doing it alone because He's walking with me. You already got to think different, bro. Right? So it's like understanding that I'm not going to miss my responsibility because I'm operating from a deficit. All right, but I'm going to trust that He trusted me enough to see this thing through. And in that place, I think you find opportunity. I think from that place, you walk into abundance. I think in that place, you go into the land of like milk and honey, right? And I'm learning to make every day milk and honey. But like, I think about this passage of scripture all the time. Passage of scripture. He makes me lie down in green pastures, right? He leads me beside the still waters, right? Like, that feels like freedom. Think about that big green field. And you're just able to chill and run through that. But He's promising us that when we walk alongside Him. So when I do all this work, I'm not comfortable with just good, right? Like there is a place that He has taken me to physically here, but also, eternally too. But like physically on this earth, there is milk and honey that He wants me to get to. And I'm enjoying sips of that now, but there is a land of milk and honey. There are green pastures. There are still waters that He has for me. And again, I don't think that's only through my physical work, but I think me honoring my work as part of my call helps get me there. And I want to do that well, man. I want to do that well. Like being a good person, that's cool, right? To me, we should all be doing that. Christian, unchristian, whatever. Like, be a good human. That's the least thing you can do, right? Be nice, be kind, be loving. But the spiritual part to me is being a vessel. Being a vessel. And if God has called you to do that by just being a greeter, be the best greeter you can. Right? Knowing that smile is changing someone's life every single day. If God called you to be an athlete, right? Be the best you can be in that thing. Honor what He's trusted you with in the best way you can. If He's called you to have multiple businesses and run this and do that and do that, wherever you are on that spectrum, you got to be a good steward in all of that. Because if you're not a good steward here, you may need to think about what you need to get rid of. And I think that's our responsibility as people, man. Being a good human and being a good steward of our passion, which is ultimately our purpose, and letting that drive us to peace, letting that drive us to milk and honey, to green pastures, but ultimately to Him. So that's all I'm really focused on, bro. That's all I'm focused on. And it's so interesting, man. I'm processing that. This is why this is good. This is why fellowship is good. 2 or 3 are gathered is good. Because you can be processing these things, but to have the conversation, right, and say the words out loud. I'm sitting here processing things for the first time, and I'm like, yeah, bro, we got some stuff to do, man. We got some stuff to do, but yeah.
Man, that's good, man. Like I said, there's so much more I could be talking to you on, but do want to ask you a little bit in this one other space of um of where you're at with trying to think the organization now.
Bill.
Bell, there you
Okay,
go. It's
yeah,
right there on
yeah,
my
yeah.
mind. Just kind of give me because all that ties back in where you
Mhm.
bring everybody full circle for us, business owners,
Sure.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, yeah.
How does that? Where are we at with that, and how's that?
Yeah, so for those who are not familiar,
Mhm.
BEL is the Black Economic Leadership League of Rock Hill.
Mhm.
We have a very simple mission to be a resource and advocate for the Black community within Rock Hill, within three main ways: business development, leadership development, and workforce development. So our business development arm, we focus on growing, scaling, starting Black-owned businesses in Rock Hill. We've been able to do that work over the past 5 years. And up to date, we're giving away $150,000 to Black-owned businesses in Rock Hill.
Wow.
But also alongside the money piece, which we believe is just a piece of the pie, we do a lot of training and programming and educational opportunities to help them grow and scale and help make their dreams a reality. So meaning a lot of people have an idea but don't know how to work that idea, or I already have a business that I've been working, but it's kind of just been at this one level. I want to take it to the next level. So we've been helping people across that spectrum within Rock Hill, and it's been great to do that work. So we're actually going to be doing some new trainings coming up in the new year. So if you'd like to know more about that, if you're a Black-owned business here, our website is BELL, BELL, of rockhill.org, and you can subscribe there as well, and information will be out there next year. But also to workforce development, so we work with high school seniors to help them figure out what are their plans post-graduation. So we do work alongside the school districts there, and then leadership development, helping grow Black leaders, young and seasoned in our community, to take leadership roles across the board. So we've been doing that work since 2018. We just had a great meeting this last week, and we threw the question on the whiteboard to start the meeting. My vision for Black people looks like, right? And we had everyone go around the room and kind of answer that question. And some people said freedom. Some people said the ability to just be. Some people said Wakanda. Some people said, all the different things you can imagine. And I kind of took all of those words and made up the phrase that all of that is the vision of the work of BELL, right? We have three main paths that we're trying to get there economically through workforce, business, and leadership. But the main vision, the main goal is to make all these things on this board a reality. And what we're all wanting is space to be free, space to have a healthy life, space to thrive, space to grow. And that's what we're doing at BELL. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome, man. But like I said, we definitely want to make sure we continually tie into what BELL is doing, what you're doing, all the other areas that you work in. But man, if anybody else wanted to reach you, Tadean, how would you? How can they reach out?
For sure. So kind of one simple way to find everything is my website. So I have a website, tadeanpage.com, T as in toy, ADEANPAGE.com. And once you go to the website, it takes you to all the things. So you can go to my website, my social media, my email is there, all the things I'm doing. So you can just go to that one place and it'll shoot you off to wherever you're looking for it. And I'd be happy to connect with people.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So if you could leave the people with something of encouragement, what would that be? I
think it's the same encouragement that I'm leaving with today following this conversation with you. So thank you for this space. But in this moment, I feel like I'm processing that you are skilled, you are called, you have purpose, right? And what's more important than you trying to know what all that means right now, your job is to walk into that. Not knowing everything, not having it all figured out, but to take one step at a time and just try to make each of those steps great, make each of those steps excellent in the way which you can. And as you start to walk that thing out, you'll realize you're never walking alone the whole time, that he's walking with you, that he's guiding you, and you can rest in that, you can find peace in that, you can find strength in that, and make one step in front of the other easier and easier and easier. So regardless of where you are on that spectrum of this end, however you define this or that, you got it. You got it. But do it well.
Yeah.
Do it well. Yeah.
Well, man, we appreciate you for
Sure.
your time, my
Appreciate
brother.
you, bro.
And we definitely look forward to the future of where things are going.
Absolutely.
So if you can, do subscribe, and also do follow my man, Tadean. And we definitely look forward to seeing you in the near future for other things we're going to be talking about and sharing as well. Be great.